Hey, howdy everybody. Welcome back to our Old School RuneScape Road to 1 Billion series. Today in episode 11. For this episode, I want to go ahead and start keeping the intro shorter, but there's a few things I need to disclose to begin with. For starters, everything from this episode onward will probably be done in voiceovers. That's simply so that I can give a more thorough explanation without feeling, one, rushed to get it out, as well as I'll actually be able to focus on what I'm doing here and playing the game separately. Second quick thing I want to cover is there's a popping that's coming through. I can hear it in the voiceover, and when I play the audio back over, I can still hear it. So I do apologize. I'm not sure why the popping is occurring. It's only every once in a while, but by the end of this episode, it may happen upwards of 20 or 30 times. Who knows? I just want to go ahead and get it out there that I am aware of it. I'm trying to find a way to fix it, but I haven't found a way to do so yet. All right, and that's just about everything that comes to mind right off the top of my head. So let's go ahead and pop into the episode. Oh, you know what? There's a couple of screenshots I'm going to put on screen now about the balls of wool that I sold before they crashed, because they did end up crashing by the end of the week. Not sure if that's because of my episode previously, or if it's just because I saw a bunch of bots there. I think somebody else might have hopped on to the opportunity when they found it too. Oh, and here's a single herb level that I ended up coming across while I was doing a daily herb run. The intro is almost over, I promise. I just really quickly want to apologize for not having anything uploaded last week. I had a vacation that I completely forgot was even occurring, so I apologize for not having let anybody know that I wasn't going to be uploading anything. In addition to that, that pop sound that I keep on hearing was only in one spot, and that's because it was in the original recording, so you're not even going to hear it. So I don't know why I'm still rambling about it. Okay, like, share, subscribe, comment if you feel up to it. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know later on, but this intro has been long enough. Let's hop into the episode. So for those of you who missed last episode, here's where our total levels ended off with by the end of last episode, as well as here's the final gold value after selling the wools and the total bank value. So by this point, I really hadn't come up with terribly much of a plan as to what I was going to be doing, other than since I had the gold to do it and I hadn't trained my magic yet, I was going to go ahead and train my magic up to at least high enough to get to, say, Camelot teleport, but I really needed to unlock a few teleport options. So this is pretty much what I decided to spend my first bit of gold on. And you'll see shortly that this kind of got out of hand. So for these early levels in magic, I do endorse Enchanting Jewelry. You don't really lose any money. You're more likely to profit off of it depending on the economy. As of this moment in time, though, I wasn't really making terribly much, so much as I was just trying not to lose a bunch of money on magic. Once we get into the smelting ores, yeah, sure, we lose a little bit of money, nothing substantial, and the EXP rates are totally worth it. Though once we get into telealching, the XP rates go up a little bit, but because of the fact that you have to have your ticks near perfect to get your experience above what the smelting is, I'd personally, if I could do this over again, I'd stick with the smelting. It's not nearly as click intensive, you don't have to focus nearly as much, and whenever you're doing it for 9 hours straight, it's kind of miserable. Maybe just don't go for 70 magic all at one time. That's up to you. I personally did not enjoy the process of this telealching, but I got through it, and in the end, once we get into bossing, it'll have been worth it. But yeah, if you want my advice, I'd probably suggest leave out the telealching. Not worth it for the XP boost. Just stick with the smelting. So we made it to 70 magic, but now I had to come up with something else to do with my time. So, at least we got this out of the way for bossing. Granted, we're going to have to get the rest of our combats up later on, but let's see what we moved into. A quick note for any aspiring flippers. I accidentally stumbled across the smoke battle staff margin. Definitely was not intended, but it was cool to note, and if you want to take advantage of it, feel free to. I did not. Though I did go ahead and quickly check to see whether or not you could actually afford a bond off of flipping these. Say you reached the buy limit, only made the same amount of margin, you could theoretically actually make your membership off of this item. Now, there's no guarantee that this would be sustainable. I have no idea what the demand or the availability of this item is. Not something I've ever messed with personally. But I just really quickly wanted to let you know about this one. And between both the magic leveling route that I went and the staff margin that I accidentally found, we ended up pretty much breaking even, maybe coming out with a little bit of profit off of the magic training, which I was really not planning for, but was still pretty sweet. Since I still hadn't come up with much of a plan on how to get into bossing, I just decided I was going to use the Easy Diaries as a guide to getting a few more levels. I mean, I could have just grinded out the combat levels, but I figured that would get kind of boring and redundant for you guys, so I settled on focusing on the quest requirements for the Easy Diaries and started getting level requirements for those. The first skill requirement I hadn't met yet was rune crafting, so we knocked out the mini quest Enter the Abyss, and we got our rune crafting straight up to level 9. Super sweet, and we can move forward. Next on the list was herbs, so I decided to clean them up to the level requirement. Honestly, I should have held on, and you'll see why in just a little bit. The next skill that I didn't have was Slayer, but I'll be touching on that later on. It's a little more involved, and I will probably get hooked on it and spend a majority of an episode doing that one, so we'll touch on that one later. Granted, we did get 9 of the 13 Slayer levels we're going to need for the Diaries off of this Natural History Museum mini quest. Really, I was just doing it for these Hunter levels, that way we can move forward with the rest of the Hunter levels without much hassle. And we only needed a few levels. We went 1 level higher than what was needed for the Diaries, just so we didn't have to come back to the Crimson Swifts later on. But the next skill on our list was going to be mining, so I kind of settled for going for the dig site quest so we could get a head start on the 40 levels that we were going to need. Here's the quest completion screen for you guys. If I'd have known about this Herbler experience earlier, I probably would have, I definitely would have held off on the Herbler training, but you win some, you lose some. I did not immediately move into mining, going for the level 40. You'll see why in just a bit. As you can see, instead of doing the mining, I decided to go ahead and get my kudos for future diaries, as well as I wanted to get the dig site pendant for, I believe it's Dragon Slayer 2, but also for treehouse runs, or birdhouse runs, excuse me. But anyways, we took care of this, so we can go ahead and move forward with the leveling. Now, if I wanted to do mining quicker, I would have just mined iron and dropped it, but I settled for AFKing. I'm going to need the Prospector outfit later on anyways, so this way I could get some gold nuggets. Speaking of, we ended up with 19 golden nuggets after our AFK session, which is a decent start. We're going to need a lot more by the end, but for now, this will definitely do. Here was the Family Crest quest complete. We did this so we'd have access to the cooking gauntlets, since the last skill on our list was going to be cooking. Here we paid for the cooking gauntlets, and now we could finally finish off the last skill left on the list for the diaries. Fortunately, since we saved cooking for last, these are quick and easy. I was running out of time for recording anyways, so it felt good to finally finish off the list. And that's the last of the skills for our diary list. Well, we got the 2 Slayer levels remaining, but other than that, we got the quests complete, and we'll do that next week. For now, let's go ahead and flip over to the bank, and we'll see how things are looking. So here we are. This is what the bank ended up looking like by the end of the week. Surprisingly, we made money. All I was trying to do was skill, and I mean, after magic training, I kind of expected my bank to go down, but I mean, obviously the mining helped bring in some currency, but overall, surprised I made any money and didn't lose any, so that was awesome. But despite the little bit of money that we did make this week, I really need to focus more on making more money. Yes, I'm progressing the account so I can make money, but the progress just feels a little bit slow even to me right now. I need to get back into herb runs since the balls of wool have crashed, so we'll bring in some more currency to that. Here's our total level. We went from 766 all the way up to 909, which is fantastic. The majority of that came from our magic levels and our mining levels. We also, of course, I mean, you saw the whole list, so I don't need to ramble through all that, but our total levels are not suffering. And this will definitely help with getting into, say, bossing and other moneymakers. So this does all pay out in the end, but for right now, I'm a little disappointed that we haven't made more money than we have this far into the playthrough, but I'm looking forward to turning that around. As for our quests, we did a few, mini quests included. So we did make some progress with quests, which is great. I kind of want to do a minimum of 2 a day, or at least on average 2 a day. So we definitely met our goal there. So I'm not at all disappointed with our progression through quests. As well as we've got some easy diaries that we're ready and set up to go through. So it's pretty dope. We'll be moving forward with that in next episode. And this brings us to present day. That's pretty much the episode. I do want to apologize for how short this one is. I know they seem kind of random on how long the episodes are. That's because some episodes are just a lot of leveling, and that's kind of what this one came down to. The magic alone took an entire day to do, and then while the mining was AFK for the majority, it's still a lot of time invested into it. So I do apologize for how short the episode seems, but keep in mind that there's a lot of hours of playtime that is not in these videos just because it's redundant and I would imagine boring to watch. So while there isn't much content in the leveling process, there will be plenty of content whenever we start making money, say through flipping or through bossing and a handful of other things. Just bear with me, hang in there, we'll get there. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this episode, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment letting me know how short you think the episode was, or whatever have you. I'm looking forward to reading through them, and I will catch you on the flip side. Y'all be safe out there, and toodles.